Börek is a family of baked filled pastries made of a thin flaky dough known as phyllo, found in the cuisines of the former Ottoman Empire. A börek may be prepared in a large pan and cut into portions after baking, or as individual pastries. The top of the börek is often sprinkled with sesame seeds. Origin and name. It may have been invented in what is now modern Turkey, in the Anatolian provinces of the Ottoman Empire in its early era, to become a popular element of Ottoman cuisine, or it may date back to the ancient Roman cuisine of the region. Börek may have its origins in Turkish cuisine and may be one of its most significant and, in fact, ancient elements of the Turkish cuisine, having been developed by the Turks of Central Asia before the westward migration to Anatolia. A competing theory is that it is the same as the local Byzantine dish plakountas tetyromanus, itself a descendant of placenta, the ancient baked layered dough and cheese dish of Roman times. Börek in Turkish language refers to any dish made with yufka. One proposed etymology of the name is that it comes from the Turkic root bur, to twist, which also describes a layered dough dish. E.V. Savortian, in his etymological dictionary of Turkic languages, dedicates a lemma to Börek, which offers various alternative etymologies, all of them based on a fronted vowel o or u. Tietz's proposed source bur for burak, Börek, is not included, which is logical because sound harmony would dictate a suffix aq with a harmonized, backed q. Turkic languages in Arabic orthography, however, invariably write not, which rules out bur, which has a backed vowel u at its core. In passing, Savortian notes a possible Russian derivation from Börek. The Tatar boregi is a cheese and mint-filled alternative name for the dumpling-like dish called manti, which very much resembled tortellini. Distribution and variants. Börek is very popular in the cuisines of the former Ottoman Empire, especially in North Africa and throughout the Balkans. The southern Slavic cuisines also feature derivatives of the börek. Börek is also part of Mizrahi and Sephardic Jewish traditions. They have been enthusiastically adopted by the Ottoman Jewish communities, and have been described, along with boyoz-de-pan and bulamas, as forming the trio of preeminent Ottoman Jewish pastries. Turkey enjoys a wide variety of regional variations of börek among the different cultures and ethnicities composing it, including su boregi. Water börek is one of the most common types. If dough are boiled briefly in large pans, then a mixture of feta cheese, parsley and oil is scattered between the layers. The whole thing is brushed with butter and laid in a masonry oven to cook. Cigarette börek, cigarette börek, or kalem börek, pen börek. A smaller, cylindrical variety is often filled with feta cheese, potato, parsley and sometimes with minced meat of sausage. A variety of vegetables, herbs and spices are used in böreks, such as spinach, nettle, leek, and courgette, and usually ground black pepper. The name kalem börek was adopted in September 2011 by some Turkish pastry organizations in order to avoid alluding to smoking. Pakam of börek is a traditional Sephardic Jewish specialty of Istanbul filled with pastırma akasa, and julienne green peppers fried in olive oil and eaten as a meze. Saray börek, palace börek, is a layered börek where fresh butter is rolled between each of the dough sheets. Talis börek and Ems börek, sawdust or Austrian börek, is a small square börek mostly filled with lamb cubes and green peas, that has starchy yufka sheets, making it puffy and crispy. Kol börek, arm börek, is prepared in long rolls, either rounded or lined, and filled with either minced meat, feta cheese, spinach or potato, and baked at a low temperature. Sarıyer börek is a smaller and a little fattier version of the kol börek, named after Sarıyer, a district of Istanbul. Gül börek, rose börek, also known as yuvarlak börek, round a spiral börek, are rolled into small spirals and have a spicier filling than other Börek. Cig Börek. A Börek. Raw Börek is a half-round shaped Börek, filled with raw minced meat and fried in oil on the concave side of the sack. Very popular in places with a thriving Tatar community, such as Eskişehir, Polatlı and Konya. Börek is another Tatar variety similar to a Cig Börek, but baked either on the convex side of the sack, or in a masonry oven instead of being fried in oil. Laz Böreki, a specialty of the Rize region, is a sweet version filled with mahalabi and served sprinkled with powdered sugar. It's similar with Greek bogatso. Curd Böreki is similar to Laz Böreki, without the custard filling. It is also called Sade Börek and served with fine powdered sugar. Most of the time, the word Börek is accompanied in Turkish by a descriptive word referring to the shape and ingredients of the pastry. For the cooking methods are for or a specific region where it is typically prepared, as in the above Kol Böreki, Su Böreki, Talis Böreki, Asari Böreki. Albanian Börek. A lakra. In Albania, this dish is called Börek, or lakra. The most common fillings include cheese, ground meat and onions, which is sometimes called mesnik in the south, spinach and eggs, milk and eggs with pre-baked dough layers. But it can also be made with tomato and onions, peppers and beans, potato or a sweet filling of pumpkin, nettles, etc. Lakra generally would have a filling of greens, laka being an Albanian word for cabbage but in this context an abbreviation of lakariega, a term which describes a family of green leaf vegetables i.e. sorrel, dandelion, scarol, katsu, etc. Börek is traditionally made with several layers of dough that have been thinly rolled out by hand. The final form can be small, individual triangles, especially from street vendors called börektor, which sell börek and other traditional pastries and drinks. It can also be made as one large börek that is cut into smaller pieces. Börek is traditional to southern Albania but is made throughout the country with variations. They can be served cold or hot. Eastern Arabian Börek. Arab Börek is often stuffed with minced to diced lamb or beef, or a mixture of the two. Various herbs and spices are used to flavor the meat, including turmeric, fresh parsley and nutmeg, and concentrated pomegranate juice, which gives the mixture a unique sweet and tangy taste. Fried or caramelized onions are usually added to the meat, as well as the traditional Arab staple of fried almonds and sultanas or raisins. Traditional Arab cheeses, including Jibin Baladi and Jibin Arab, are often used instead of or together with the meat. The mixture is wrapped in a sheet of dough, and then fried or deep-fried until crisp, and resembles a large egg roll. While most Börek are made with phyllo, some traditional cooks and those in the tribal areas prefer hand-kneaded dough. Arab Börek are most often served with other dry foods, including kibbeh, with a jajik dip forming an integral part of a traditional meze meal. Armenian Börek. In Armenia, Börek consists of dough, or phyllo dough, folded into triangles and stuffed with cheese, spinach or ground beef, and the filling is typically spiced. A popular combination is spinach, feta, cottage cheese and a splash of anise-flavored liquor. Assyrian Börek. Assyrian Börek is usually stuffed with spiced ground beef, though potatoes are also sometimes used instead. The stuffing is wrapped in a sheet of dough and then fried in oil and resembles egg rolls. Bulgarian Börek. The Bulgarian version of the pastry, locally called Börek, is typically regarded as a variation of banitsa, a similar Bulgarian dish. Bulgarian Börek is a type of banitsa with serene cheese, the difference being that Börek also has eggs added. In Bulgarian, the word Börek has also come to be applied to other dishes similarly prepared with cheese and eggs, such as chushka Börek. Appeal. boiled and roasted pepper filled with cheese, and tikvichka börek, blanched or uncooked bits of squash with eggs filling. Greek böreki, borekaki, bougaza, and pitta in Greece and Cyprus, bourikia borekaki. A small pastries made with phyllo dough with pastry crust. Pastries in the Börek family are also called pitta, tiropita, spanakopita, and so on. A special type of boureki is found in the local cuisine of Crete and especially in the area of Hania. It is a pie filled with sliced zucchini, sliced potatoes, misithro, feta cheese and spearmint, and may be baked with or without a thick top crust of phyllo. In Venetian Corfu, boureki was also called baricha and filled with meat and leafy greens. Galacta boreko is a syrupy phyllo pastry filled with custard, common throughout Greece and Cyprus. In the Epirus, sigma kappa epsilon rho mu pio micron upsilon rho epsilon kappa is a small rosewater-flavored marzipan sweet. The Persian Greek börek derives its name from Börek too. Israel. In Israel, borekas became popular as immigrants who settled they cooked the cuisine of the native countries. Borekas can be found made from either phyllo dough or puff pastry filled with various fillings. Among the most popular fillings are salty cheese, mashed potato, mushrooms, chickpeas, olives, spinach, eggplant, and pizza flavor. Most borekas in Israel are made with margarine-based doughs rather than butter-based doughs, so that can be eaten along with either milk meals or meat meals in accordance with the kosher prohibition against mixing milk and meat at the same meal. Israeli borekas come in several shapes and are often sprinkled with seeds. The shapes and choice of seeds are usually indicative of the fillings and have become fairly standard among small bakeries and large factories alike. For example, salty cheese filled as well as TZ fat cheese with zarata filled borekas are usually somewhat flat triangles with white sesame seeds on top. Less salty cheese filled are semicircular and usually made with puff pastry. Potato filled are sesame-topped. Flat squares are rectangles made with phyllo and tend to be less oily than most other versions. Mushroom filled are bulging triangles with poppy seeds. Tuna filled are bulging triangles with nigella seeds. Eggplant filled are cylindrical with nigella seeds. Bean sprout filled are cylindrical without seeds. Spinach filled are either cylindrical with sesame seeds or made with a very delicate, oily phyllo dough shaped into round spirals. Borekas with a pizza sauce are often round spirals rising toward the middle or sometimes cylindrical without seeds. Differentiated from the bean sprout filled cylides without seeds by the red sauce oozing out the ends. Borekas can also be found with mashed chickpeas, tuna and chickpea mix, pumpkin, and even small cocktail frankfurters. Another variation filled with meat, pine nuts, parsley and spices are eaten mainly as a main dish but sometimes as meze. The North African version, brick, can also be found in Israel. Borekas come in small, snack size, often available in self-service bakeries, and sizes as large as 4 or 5 inches. The larger ones can serve as a snack or a meal, and can be sliced open and stuffed with hard-boiled egg, pickles, tomatoes and skug, a spicy Yemenite paste. Supermarkets stock a wide selection of frozen raw dough borekas ready for home baking. Bakeries and street vendors dealing exclusively in borekas can be found in most Israeli cities. Small coffee shop-type establishments as well as lottery and sports betting parlors serving borekas and coffee can also be found. Meat borekas are less common at bakeries and are considered something which is to be made at home. Meat borekas Börek are made from lamb, beef or chicken mixed with onion, parsley, coriander, or mint, pine nuts and spices. They are served as hot meze. In recent years, Israelis have become aware of the high-fat content of Börek, leading many to question the dangers associated with the consumption. Börek have given the name to Börek films, a peculiarly Israeli genre of comic melodrama satire yakas based on ethnic stereotypes. Italy. In certain Italian towns of Emilia-Romagna that were formerly city-states such as Ferrara and Modena, there can still be encountered a half-moon-shaped sweet pastry called bariccia, a bariccia which has been described as a medieval relic of the Ottoman-inspired cuisine of the Jewish communities that lived in certain towns of the area. There can be distinguished the bariccia ferrarese, to which grappa is being added and which are often filled with mandarin marmalade and which are sometimes called in Ferrari's ladino bariccitas. They resemble in shape and taste the Greek ourabidus, which are pâté brisée-like shortbreads that differ from the Middle Eastern counterparts by having also alcohol such as brandy or mastica added to them. Former Yugoslavia, in the nations established or re-established in the stead of the territories of the former Yugoslavia, Börek is regularly available at most bakeries, and usually eaten as fast food. It is often consumed with yogurt. Apart from being sold at bakeries, Börek is served in specialized stores selling Börek and yogurt exclusively. Bosnian Börek in the former Yugoslavia. Börek, also known as pita, is an extremely common dish, and the Bosnian variant is arguably the most regionally prominent. It may be eaten for any meal of the day. In Bosnia, among the local Muslims, especially prepared salmon with egg yolk and seasonings is a traditional bread for dinners during the fast in the month of Ramadan. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Börek is a meat-filled pastry, traditionally rolled in a spiral and cut into sections for serving. The same spiral filled with cottage cheese is called srnica, with spinach and cheese zeljanica, with potatoes cromprusso, and all of them are generically referred to as pita. Eggs are used as a binding agent when making srnica and zeljanica. This kind of pastry is also popular in Croatia, where it was imported by Bosnian Croats, and is usually called rolani Börek. In Serbian towns, Bosnian pastry dishes were imported by war refugees in the 1990s, and are usually called Sarajevska peti or Bosansk peti. Similar dishes, although somewhat wider and with thinner dough layers, are called savajaga or just pita in Serbia. These are usually homemade and not traditionally offered in bakeries. In 2012, Lonely Planet included the Bosnian Börek in the World's Best Street Food book. Round Börek in Serbia, Macedonia, Croatia, Montenegro and Slovenia. In Serbia, Macedonia, Croatia, Montenegro and Slovenia, Börek is made from layers of dough, alternating with layers of other fillings in a circular baking pan and then topped with a last layer of dough. Traditionally it may be baked with no filling, with stewed minced meat and onions, or with cheese. Modern bakeries offer cheese and spinach, apple, sour cherries, potato, mushroom and pizza Börek as well. The recipe for round Börek was developed in the Serbian town of Nis. In 1498, it was introduced by a famous Turkish baker, Mehmed Oglu from Istanbul. Eventually Börek spread from the southeast to the rest of Yugoslavia. Nis hosts an annual Börek competition and festival called Börek. In 2005, a 100 kilograms Börek was made, with a diameter of 2 meters, and it is considered to have been the world's biggest Börek ever made. In Slovenia, Börek is one of the most popular fast food dishes, but at least one researcher found that it is viewed negatively by Slovenes due to the prejudices towards immigrants immigrants, especially those from the countries of former Yugoslavia. A publication of a diploma thesis on this at the Faculty of Social Sciences of the University of Ljubljana in 2010 stirred controversy regarding the appropriateness of the topic. The mentor of the student that had written the thesis described the topic as legitimate and Börek as denoting primitive behavior in Slovenia in spite of it being a sophisticated food. He explained the controversy as a good example of the conclusions of the student. Actually, already in 2008, an employee of the Scientific Research Center of the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts had attained his PhD degree with a thesis on Meta Börek at the University of Nova Gorica. Crimea Börek, a national dish of the Crimean Tatars, is made from unleavened dough filled with ground lamb, onions and spices, fried in oil. It is a common street food in countries that were once part of the USSR. Cheburek is the Russian pronunciation of Saborek, which means delicious burek or raw borek. Moldova, the regional cuisine of the Moldavian West Bank of the Pruth, still yields a type of dumpling-like food called berchiasa, which is described as dough in the shape of a ravioli-like square which is filled with mushrooms such as Boletus sedulus, and sealed around its edges and then tossed and subsequently boiled in borscht-like soups or chorbas. They are traditionally eaten in the last day of fasting at the time of the Christmas Eve. It is not clear if the berchiasa derive the name from the Turco-Greek borek, so at the receiving end of cultural and culinary influences coming from them, or it takes its name from that of the mushroom Boletus by the pattern of the ravioli, which were named after the Italian name of the turnip with which they were once filled. Tunisian and Algerian brick is a Tunisian and Algerian derivative of the borek, consisting of thin malsuki pastry around a filling commonly deep-fried. The best-known version is the egg brick, a whole egg in a triangular pastry pocket with chopped onion, tuna, harissa and parsley. Brick pastry is made by slapping a sticky lump of dough onto a hot non-stick surface in overlapping circles to produce the desired size and cooked for a minute or two. Typical fillings include tuna, ground meat, chopped boiled egg, chicken, shrimp, or anchovies garnished with a fried egg and harissa, capers, or cheese. The Tunisian tradition is that the bride-to-be's mother makes a brick for the potential bridegroom. If the bridegroom eats it without spilling any of the egg yolk, he may marry the bride. The doshits themselves are also referred to as walsuka or walker.